classes. Okay, so today is our third day of the week full of webinars, iSQI certification days, and today we have a very nice speaker, Stefan Sturm. He is the managing director of the most powerful certification for requirements engineering and business analysts in the world, IREB, and he will talk about IREB today. So, Stefan, are you with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move.
Okay. Yeah, Victor, thanks a lot for introducing me and the topic. Today I'm talking to you from Orlando, Florida. So I'm attending a conference over here. I've just been sneaking out to give you the PRE, and I will switch off the video because I think you don't need to see me. It's sufficient if you will hear me and you have the slides. And if you have any questions, please write them to the chat window if you can't hear me properly, and if I'm speaking too fast or if I'm going too fast, please use the chat window as well, because it's important that you get everything. Okay, there will be a possibility to ask questions in between. We have separated the topic into different chapters, and I will ask you to post questions in between and of course afterwards. Okay, then let's get into the topic. The Certified Professional for Requirements Engineering. So I'm Stefan Sturm. I'm the managing director of the IREB company. The company is owned by the International Requirements Engineering Board, the IREB Association, the IREB EV, which is the abbreviation for an association in German. And I will talk about the way how it is set up a little bit later. Let's get into the topic. Oh, return does not work, so just click next. A bit of a motivation about the importance of RE. Why do we need it? I don't want to annoy you with another version of the chaos report of the Standish group, but if you follow these studies, you will see that still the success rate of software and IT projects is quite low. It's only about 37% of the projects which are finished successful. Many of them are cancelled, about 20%, and over 40% are too late or over budget. And if you look more detailed into these studies, you will see that insufficient requirements engineering is one of the main reasons, over 87%, for this project failure. Okay, so still requirements engineering is one of poor requirements engineering is one of the main issues in the software and IT projects. And numerous studies shows that 60% of these errors, I clicked twice, just a second please. Oh, the animation is not working. So the error should not be shown yet. We can't see you. Yeah, I know that you're not seeing me. I try to get to gain more bandwidth by switching the video off. You want to see my face? I will switch on video later on. Yeah, the blue arrow should not be in the image, but must have been lost when sending it to the presentation platform. So the studies show that 60% of the errors originate in the early stage, in the RE stage, requirements engineering stage of the projects. And the effort to fix these errors when you find them later on, let's say in the testing space, it's up to 100 times higher than if you would fix these errors in the requirements engineering stage. So it's very clear that if you want to bring down this effort, you need to emphasize very well on the requirements engineering part. And this means that you should focus more on requirements engineering, may it be waterfall, heavyweight processes, or maybe in an agile context. I will highlight the differences later in this talk, how to deal with that in an agile context. Nevertheless, as well in an agile world, you need to have some proper requirements engineering done. So, excuse me, double click here. You need to get used to the platform. Yeah, it's a pity that the animation is not working on that form, because all in there is should appear one by one. But nevertheless, many people say, "Hey, we are not requirements engineers. We are not engineers at all. We are doing the tasks in the box, in the outer box. You are doing planning, monitoring, enterprise analysis, and all the tasks in there." And these are the tasks performed by a business analyst, for example, according to the IREB BABOK. These are the tasks you need to follow in a business analysis process. But if you look in a detail at it, you will see that the gray box covers the tasks which are related to requirements engineering. So even if people say, hey, we are business analysts, they are doing a lot of requirements engineering. And the CPRE offers the dedicated skill set for these specific parts. And this applies to the business analysts who say we are not requirements engineers, top left, and just highlighting things as they don't and are not animated. But it applies as well to product owners in agile world. That is, hey, we do not feel as being requirements engineers, but nevertheless they are performing the tasks. Project managers as well, and as well testers. Software testing is related to requirements pretty much. Of course, the testers are very often not involved in eliciting requirements, documenting them, but they're facing the problems and they're feeling the pain if requirements engineering is applied a bad way. So even for them, requirements engineering is a very important field. And for sure, systems engineers, whenever you develop a system like a smartphone or in aerospace or wherever, requirements engineering is part of the game. So even if you don't name yourself being a requirements engineer, you will be in touch with requirements engineering tasks all over the place. The next thing is about engineering. Engineering is not meant to be in a way that you need to be an engineer in order to perform this, but it is an engineering mindset. So being precise, being as complete as possible and as complete as needed in that certain stage of the project. In Agile, complete means totally different things than in waterfall project with pretty much upfront activity. But complete is just a matter of definition, how much you need to do in order to complete in a certain point in time. And this engineering mindset, you need it, and it's very obvious in safety critical system, of course. Doing software for an aircraft is something where you need to be very, very precise, and you need to engineer all these things. Security, medical, and defense, of course. But have a look at other things like consumer products, lifestyle, and user-centered things. If you're looking at smartphones, if you install your smartphone, how long do you use it and try to use it until you decide whether you keep it or you delete it again because it does not fulfill your expectations, your requirements. It does not meet your requirements. So even here, the developers, the companies shaping these apps need to focus on the requirements. You've got one shot only. The user will decide pretty fast to delete your app again. So taking care for proper requirements is mission critical as well in these areas. Coming to the IREB. The IREB, the International Requirements Engineering Board, is an association of experts from the field of requirements engineering. These are renowned experts from industry, research, this is very important, consulting and education. And we do have a lot of associate members, committed persons in the field of requirements engineering. The IREB scheme, the Certified Professional for Requirements Engineering, is targeting for the practitioners. So the practitioners is our target group. Nevertheless, the research guys, the academics, are very important because they are doing research on the topic for over 30 years now. And they give a lot of things to the scheme which are proven by scientific research. And on the other hand, the practitioners ensure that you can apply it practically out in the field. So it's a perfect mixture, and you will only find things in the IREB syllabi which are really proved by the research guys and by the practitioners to add value to the practitioners out in the field. If you want to learn more about the people behind the scheme, you may check out the website ireb.org about persons. You will find the members there, and you will find it's not a big group. It's not hundreds and thousands. It's below 100 because it's a really association driven by experts in the field. And they are elaborating the curricula, the glossary, the exams for the certification, and they are doing a lot of translations, Chinese, Dutch, English, French, German, and so on. Currently, we do have an ongoing activity on translation. Italian has been finished recently. Swedish is on being elaborated at the moment, and we do have some guys who are translating things in Russian, if you are more familiar with Russian language. So this is all done by the association. It's all volunteers. It's all honorary work here. The IREB company, which is owned by the association, is taking care for all the operations. So top right, it's a bit outdated. If you look at the video later, you will find I'm a few years over now. I'm in charge of the company since the very first day, since 2011, and it's 100% owned by the IREB Association. No private shares, no revenue distributed to anybody, still 100% non-profit. And the activities of the company is that we support the organization in the working groups, in organizing meetings, in helping finalizing documents from a formatting perspective, supporting in the translation task, and so on. And of course, we are coordinating all our partners, may it be training providers like coaches, may it be certification bodies like iSQI, and we do a lot of marketing and webinars and so on. And currently, as I mentioned, I'm attending a conference in Orlando for business analysts where we do have a booth talking directly to the community. Okay. Again, need to click with the mouse. So, the principles of the certification: the International Requirements Engineering Board, the association, the green box, they are developing all the material. The IREB GmbH, the company, the blue boxes, is doing all communications to the outside. Then we do have a couple of training providers. There's a list on our website who deliver trainings for the IREB. Codespace, you can see the logo there, is one of our recognized training providers operating, of course, in Ukraine. And we do have certification bodies. Normally there should be a logo down there, which is iSQI. It's not shown properly, at least at my screen. The certification bodies are running the exams. And on the right-hand side, this nice color there, these are the candidates, the trainees, like the you. And so this is conformed to an ISO standard because the allocation of the tasks to clearly separated and independent organizations ensures fairness and neutrality, because of course the training providers always want all the candidates to succeed, and of course it's fair enough, they are mature enough, but we need to have really a fair exam, and only those who are mature enough should succeed there in order to keep the value of the certificate. And that's the reason why all these things are separated. So this is it about IREB. Double click again. So this is a bit of the success story. If you look at this slide, the chart, This is the number of certifications in the foundation level since 2007 per year. So each blue bar is the number of exams we have run per year. If you see 2016, we first time in history crossed over 7,000 exams in a single year. And I remember November 2016, we had the first time in history over 1,000 exams in a single month. It was really incredible. This year, it's only included January to September in these slides. We will for sure reach the numbers of 2016. By now, we are 10% ahead of 2016. So still the scheme is growing pretty much. And we have run over 33,000 exams in total worldwide, and we do have a success rate of about 80%. So this means, looking at a success rate, that the foundation level is not easy going. It doesn't mean it's low-level stuff. It is the fundamentals, the must-have. Nevertheless, you should take it serious. It's not something you could do with, we would say, left hand. Just be careful, prepare well if you are you want to go for the exam. Okay, just to finish the success story, the blue colored countries are the countries where we have run certifications before. Up to now, about 70 countries where we're operating. And that shall it be for the IREB. Perhaps it's up a good point in time to ask you whether you do have any question to IREB. If there's anything you want to know about the association, you might paste your questions to the chat window right now. So just give you a few seconds to decide if you want to know anything. And if not, we can move on. Okay, no questions so far, fair enough. It's not that exciting, the IREB setup. Nevertheless, I think it's important to know that it's really non-profit thing. We are interested in spreading the word, the topic. Okay, coming to the certification scheme, the Certified Professional for Requirements Engineering. First, the certificate is not time limited. So there's no need to recertify. The reason for that is that the topic is not evolving that fast. If it would be changing every year, having new background, new things you need to learn, then a recertification makes pretty much sense. In the requirements engineering field, things are not evolving too much. Of course, things like Agile add different views on it, and we are addressing that by specific modules addressing such things like, for example, Agile. That's something I will cover later on. But in the foundation level, the foundations of requirements engineering, how to identify requirement sources and so on, there's no need for recertification. It's a three-step certification program. We do have foundation level, advanced levels. There are more than one. And the expert level coming soon, something I will cover later on as well. And the very important thing is the foundation level. I think it's pretty much like the iSQI, is accessible for everyone. So there are no prerequisites you need to fulfill to go for a foundation level. There are other schemes, for example, in business analysis, where you need to show that many hours of experience and so on in order to enter the certification. That's not the case in the foundation level. For the advanced level, it's different. There you need to have some prerequisites, especially for the expert level, because in the expert level, we are really certifying experienced experts in requirements engineering with long-lasting track record and so on. And then you need to give us proofs of this track record. So there are prerequisites, but not in the foundation level. That's open for everyone. Okay. So this is the complete picture of the certification scheme, going from bottom up, the CPRE foundation level, making some marks here, foundation level. That's what I've been talking about before. Let's first go more to the top. On the next level, you will see the available advanced level modules. Just let me scroll down a bit. I will touch them. Yeah, I will touch them later on again. Do I? Hopefully. Yeah, nevertheless, let's talk a bit about them. Elicitation and consolidation deals in how to elicit requirements and how to deal with stakeholder conflicts. Modeling is how to model requirements in the right way so that it's valuable for business and for the development. Management for sure deals with how to manage requirements over the life cycle. There might be product releases and product versions. And there's something addressing Agile. I'm talking about Agile in a minute. So let's get to the prerequisite. In order to go to an advanced level, you need to have the IREB CPRE foundation level. Yeah. So because if you want to do advanced requirements engineering tasks, you need to know about the foundations. That's for sure. And on top of that, there is the expert level, and you see this will be launched in November 2017, where we have a prerequisite that you have either 3 advanced level modules, so then you are done with the prerequisites, or you must have at least 1 advanced level, and the others can be substituted by other qualifications, maybe a bachelor or even a master. When you are a teacher in requirements engineering, whether you're consulting. So there are quite a couple of things which we take as substitutes, just where you prove that you have sound background in requirements engineering. Coming to the Agile part, there's the Agile primer at the bottom, which is standing aside a bit from the foundation level. The reason is that the Agile primer as well has no prerequisites. The Agile primer addresses Agile guys and at the same time requirements engineering engineers coming from a traditional background. And there we introduce the pitfalls of requirements engineering in an Agile context and help the traditional RE guys to get into a Agile world, and on the other hand, the Agile guys, how they can use requirements engineering techniques to create value in their Agile processes. This is the primer, no prerequisites, it's a 1-day course intended. And there is 2 ways, either you get into a certification exam if you want to have a certificate, or if you don't want to have a certificate for that, you may do a self-assessment on our website as well. And there is no proof of qualification, it just gives you an information whether you passed the self-assessment or not. And still in 2017, we will launch the advanced level requirements RE at Agile, which is then a full-fledged advanced level on the topic, giving you a lot of hands-on information how to do requirements engineering, where the primer is an introduction. This gives you the comprehensive topic. And for that one as well, the CPRE foundation level is a prerequisite, because if you want to apply requirements engineering really in a good way in Agile, you need to know about the requirements engineering basics. If you only want to have a sneak preview, if you want to know what this is all about and just to get an idea of it, the primer is the right one. If you need to apply it really in depth, then you need to go for the advanced level. Okay. Again, some information on the foundation level. As I mentioned before, this is the fundamentals. So it gives you the fundamental understanding of RE, means we touch requirements in its whole bandwidth, but only to a certain level of detail, only scratching every topic, giving you what you need in practice. But there is, of course, much more about requirements engineering, which we cover in the advanced level. And if you are looking at the books, there's a companion book available on our website. You can see the size is about 120 pages, I think. but there are much more comprehensive books, about 500 pages on requirements engineering. But this is not what you need for the foundations. This is what we cover is the must-have. As I mentioned before, available in many languages, Russian coming soon, and so on. No prerequisites, the companion books on our website. About the content of the foundation level, I want to give you some information. And I think after that, we will have another Q&A for you. The content on the foundation level, and by the way, you will find all these things available for download on our website. So if you want to have a closer look at the syllabus, the learning objectives, you may download it from the website. It's all open. And the topics in the foundation level, it's 9 chapters. First is introduction on the topic and a bit of the foundations, the skills and requirements engineer needs to have, the soft skills as well, like empathy and so on. And giving you the introduction to the topic. Chapter 2 is system and system context, because a very difficult thing is to delineate the scope of the project from the rest of the world, which is not interesting to you. There's a lot of interfaces to the outside, which you need to fulfill. And you need to know which part of the system belongs to what you are shaping now, what you are defining, what you are building, and which part is outside. And the outside is 2 different parts. One part is what you don't care for. Yeah, that's something which is not interesting at all for you at that point in time. But there's as well a part of the context where you interact with. You cannot change that context, but still you need to interact by adding some interfaces and so on. There are lots of stakeholders out there you need to be aware of. So all this is handled in chapter 1 and 2, the stakeholders as well in chapter 1, and the system context in chapter 2, to help you how to delineate that. And even if I always try to keep in mind the agile development process. Even if you say, hey, we are not very sure at this point in time how the entire system will look like. So it's not that easy to define system and the context and to delineate that. But nevertheless, you need to be able, for even the small, tiny part you're starting with in agile, to identify what are you doing, what is my system context, and for this small deliverable product, the minimal viable or shippable product at this point in time. You need to define the system context. You need to be aware of the environment, and so you can apply all these techniques we are teaching you there as well in this scenario. Okay. Chapter 3 is a huge field, requirements elicitation. In a very traditional way, the typical elicitation techniques are interviews, questionnaires, brainstorming, field survey, apprenticing, which is very special thing, personas, and so on. This changes a bit today, as there are pretty much user-centric approaches. Where we do design thinking workshops and other things as well. This is something we are currently discussing how we will implement it, but already now you get a whole bunch of techniques how to elicit, to uncover requirements, because sometimes people call it requirements gathering. But if you talk about gathering, it gives the impression that you simply need to collect what's out there. Yeah, it's everything there, you just need to collect it, write it down. But this is not the case. In many cases, you need to uncover requirements because it's not clear that these requirements are there, but you need to find them. If you're shaping new products like Apple did with the iPhone and so on, they did a lot of prototyping in order to see how the users have been playing around with these prototypes. This is a way of elicitation. As well, it's a way of validation later on when you have created something and you say, okay, let's prototype, let's give it to the users and see whether we have met what we have tried to achieve. But it is as well an elicitation technique when you see users playing around with a prototype, and then you can see, oh, here's a problem, here we need to do things differently or whatever. Okay. Yeah, then the the tricky bit, documentation. Of course, documentation is something which is always difficult because you need to document in a way that it's clear, that it's unambiguous, that people have the same understanding of this documentation. But it's always a pain because who likes to document? And again, the Agile guys think, okay, documentation is not what we should focus on. And yeah, they are right in some way. It does not need to be the main focus, but nevertheless, some things need to be there to transport the knowledge, maybe to the development team, that they know what they shall build, may it be due to legal obligations that you need to be compliant to some regulations, to some and whatever, yeah. And there are as well guys out there who like to document. I just saw in the chat, I'm not voting for not to document. In fact, I think you need to find the right level of documentation and you need to document the right things. And we are helping there in chapter 4 to 6, how to document, what are quality criteria for good documentation, and how to document in natural language, because writing down things in prose is to be unambiguous and complete and all these things is not that easy as it sounds to. If you say the system needs to be fast and needs to be available all day, this is quite weak, because what does it mean to be fast? What is the acceptable downtime and all these things? So there are rules what you should avoid in the way you are writing the requirements, and there are best practices. Chapter 6 is talking about how to use models for documenting requirements, because as well, this is some people laugh models because they think they can model everything in a way that it's unambiguous, and as well, in fact, models are a powerful thing, but nevertheless, many people out there are not able to understand models. So you need to find the right way of modeling. You need to use the right models for the right purpose and so on. And we give advice here as well. Validation and negotiation, that's what I said before. Sometimes you just use a prototype, build something, and then you validate what you did with the requirements by just building a prototype and see, oh, does it work or not? This is one way of validation, but there are other ways of validation where you can see, okay, what we have specified in the requirements, is it really what we need there? And negotiation is a very, very important thing, because in many cases, different stakeholders have different views on topics, and you need to balance their needs and expectations in a way that at the end, most, if possible, everybody is satisfied, or if you at least satisfy the right ones, not the ones you should not even take care for. So negotiation and resolving conflicts is a very important thing. Yeah, then managing requirements. Many times people think today, oh, why should we manage requirements once we have got the running software? This is sufficient for having the requirements specified, because running software is the best way of documenting and managing. But there are scenarios where management of requirements is much more important. If you're looking at variants in products, if you're looking at automotive, a car today is not just the engine and whatever. There's a lot of software components in a car, and they have variants in there, and they need to manage these requirements because they need to do impact analysis when they change something. They need to have traceability of requirements and so on to see what happens if we change this tiny bit. Will it have an impact of whatever? Because in the car there's a data bus where the braking system and all these things are communicating on the bus, and there's as well the entertainment system, and the entertainment system should not make your braking system to break, which is bad phrasing in that way, but you know what I mean, that the braking system gets problems if the entertainment system has got a problem and if you change something there. So requirements of management is a really important thing. And last but not least, we are talking about tool support. So we're not proposing a certain tool, but we explain what you need to take care for if you are selecting a tool, because just using a tool and saying, hey, we've got a tool, now everything gets better is not sufficient. You need to choose the tool according to your requirements engineering process that it supports this process best, and that's something we address in the tool support section. Let me check the next slide. Okay, a few words about the exam. In the foundation, there's a multiple choice test, about 45 questions. You will have 75 minutes plus 15 minutes extension for non-native speakers. You need to request for this extension up front, okay? And you need to reach 70% of the total points to pass this exam. It's a closed book exam. That means either there's a proctor from the certification body coming proctoring an exam after a training course, or if you are doing the exam in a test center, you need to go to a Pearson VUE test center, for example, which is run by or used by iSQI as well, where you are supervised while doing the exam. So in fact, more or less all IREB exams are proctored exams, closed books. There's one exception, which is the Agile Primer self-assessment, but in the end you will not get a certificate there. And we think in order to issue a certificate, it must be a proctored exam to really see that you did all this on your own. So this is the IREB CPRI foundation level. Then I think the next slide is talking about the Agile Primer. Yes. So before I go to the primer, I will give you another chance to ask questions about the CPRI foundation level. Anything you feel you would know more in detail? Everything I did not touch. As I mentioned, check out the syllabus. It's on the IREB website. You can see the learning objectives there and see what is in detail in the foundation level, and in the literature section you will see the IREB fundamentals book, where you can check the content. So I need to scroll down here. So still no question. System was telling me that somebody's typing, but obviously that person stopped. So if you are happy with that, I'm happy as well. And let's go to the next slide. So the RE, now the questions are moving back, sorry. Okay. The question is how often the sessions take place, particularly at the foundation level. To be honest, I don't understand it exactly what is meant with sessions. Is it a training session? The training session question you need to forward to Victor, because from CodeSpace they are running the trainings, and it depends how often they provide the training. I can tell you that we have had sorry, just reading the questions. So we had over 400 training courses in 2016. So we have all over the world. There are plenty of training providers providing, and the exams are asked how many times you can take the exam. Of course, any time. The Pearson VUE test center, you just go online to Pearson VUE, you register for the test, and you fix a date which is convenient to you, and then you go there. You can do it this week, next week, tonight. And if you are attending a training course, you need to see with the training provider when the course takes place, and the training provider will deal with the exam provider that the proctor will be there after the training to take the test. So for the test, there's no fixed dates. You just can take it whenever you want. Online was the question, whether you can take the exams online. Yes and no. Not in an open way that you just go to a website and fill in a questionnaire, because it needs to be supervised. So you need to go to a test center, and they are performing the exam on a PC. It is online, but not in a way that you can go to with the browser. Then there's a question about training courses. Whether of course offline training is offered by for example, by CodeSpace, there are ways of blended learning, so having a combination of several formats of training. And on the IREB website, you will find some links to online training courses. Okay, and there's a question where you can find a video of this webinar. In fact, I see that it is recorded, and I'm pretty sure that Victor will have a follow-up after the event where he sends around the link where you can download the webinar. Okay, so then let's go to the next topic, going in depth into the Agile Primer. As the name says, the primer is an introduction on the topic. Victor already posted that the training can be found on the CodeSpace site. Okay, the action on the topic. So it's a one-day course, and we make people familiar with the relevant terminology of requirements engineering and agile approaches. And we want people to understand the role and the importance of the requirements engineering in agile processes, and how agile ways of doing things can add value in requirements engineering as well. And you will learn how to select the right activities at the right time to ensure high quality requirements before you implement them. Again, there are no prerequisites, but as I said, there's a certification exam, which is then not 45 questions, because for a one-day course it's only a lower number. Just let me check what I've got a slide as well for that. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Where's the slide? I don't think so. For the said it's a self-assessment, or it's a smaller number of questions in a shorter time. You will find it on the website if I don't have a slide for that. But I hope that I will show you later on. Okay, and as I mentioned, no prerequisites for the primer. So for the primer, I want to give you some thoughts how RE and Agile principles go together. If you look at the Agile principle, the first principle is that the highest priority is to satisfy the customer, and that through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. This is the first principle of Agile. If you look at the requirements engineering, that RE provides the relevant understanding of stakeholders' desires through the elicitation techniques and the needs to develop valuable software. So that means Agile facilitates fast and continuous delivery, and RE provides the relevant understanding in order to enable this fast and continuous delivery. So we think this is a perfect match, goes very well together. So now the green check should appear. It's already there. The second principle of the Agile is welcoming change of requirements. Even late in development, you may change things. And Agile processes harness this change for the customer's competitive advantage. And now many people thought RE is not pretty good in having change, because we are measuring change rates of requirements. Of course, if you are having a lot of upfront specification, if you're specifying the full product upfront, you're not happy about change late in the project. But if change is welcome, RE provides the proper tools to recognize change in the market and to react and to implement these changes into your product. Yeah, and with Agile, you are implementing these changes in a very fast and possible way. So it goes very well together. Fourth principle, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. In fact, collaboration between stakeholders and developers is one of the core concepts and the core things in requirements engineering. So RE provides the tools and the techniques to foster such a cooperation. And then Agile utilizes this collaboration, to deploy running product increments without comprehensive documentation, or if needed, even with comprehensive documentation. So as well, we think it's a perfect match. This double, no, this was the fourth, sorry, the sixth. And the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Is an Agile principle. Again, RE is all about communication between stakeholders, developers, the business, and so on. So we provide the proper tools and techniques to support such conversation and to identify problems in communication. And the Agile guys use this communication and evaluate over all other ways of communication. Again, goes together very, very well. So we think that RE and Agile share the same goals of the delivery of quality software. And Agile approaches can deliver running software in an efficient and fast way. So Agile makes things very fast, very efficient. And RE provides the techniques to understand stakeholders' desires and the needs to develop the right software. So at the very bottom, Agile makes software development efficient and RE makes it effective. And if you apply it together, it's very powerful. So now I'm addressing something, and these are all things we are addressing already in the primer. That's the reason why I'm talking about it. Already in the primer, we are showing these things, yeah, and discussing that in order to show you where the value is. Very often, RE is regarded as being an upfront activity, and upfront in Agile means evil. So people don't want to have upfront things. But I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. RE never has been meant to be upfront only, but it's something you do all over the process. And it is for you, you need to decide how much upfront activity you need. I'm not advancing to the slide because it's not animated anymore, so I can't develop the thought. You will see the whole slide, so I'm clicking now. So the question, how much RE do we need and how much upfront do we need, is depending on the risk. The risk as a definition, or the risk factor, is the probability of something happening multiplied by the resulting cost or benefit if it does. So this means if the risk, let's say in that way, the damage that is caused by something is very high, people lose their lives, you will destroy whatever machine or whatever if something is going wrong. And if that might happen very likely, then you need to do pretty much requirements engineering and even upfront thinking to cope with this risk, that you're sure, okay, what we are doing will minimize the risk that, or will minimize the probability that something happens. If the risk is low or the damage is low, if you say, okay, if it goes wrong, who cares? Then we are doing it a different way. Of course, then you can reduce the amount of upfront and requirements engineering. So this means it's at your own risk. You need to decide in your context from every single case to case, how much do you need to do beforehand and how much risk can you take in this scenario. There's no silver bullet. If somebody tells you you don't to do that upfront in every case, he's wrong. You need to decide for every single case whether you can go the risk or not. Yeah, this is very important. Okie doke. So these are the learning objectives of the RE at Agile Primer. It's 4 units. There's a motivation about the mindset, the values, misunderstandings and pitfalls. I've touched them a bit, the misunderstanding upfront and so on. Not documenting is another problem where you need to see how much documentation do you really need, how much do you need to do, what can you skip. Then we are talking about application of Agile, always with a focus on requirements engineering. So we are not teaching you Scrum in that educational unit, because Scrum is an Agile concept and you can go to any Scrum course in order to learn more about Scrum. But if you're using Scrum and you are focusing challenges with requirements, then we are giving you the right knowledge in this educational unit how to do that. So these are the 2 and 3. And then we are talk a bit about scaling, because by now we are a bit down the road with Agile, and we experienced that it works well with small teams. But if you need to increase the number of teams, if you are running in an environment with plenty of Scrum teams, you need to have some frameworks in place to deal with that. And scaling is for sure an issue in Agile, and that's what we address as well in the primer. Yes. Okay, and here it is, the question, the slide with the exam. Happy to have it. So it's as well a multiple choice test. It's about 22 questions. And if you're running the certification exam on Pearson or with iSQI, you will have 45 minutes plus 10 minutes extension for non-native speakers. In the online self-assessment, it's the same volume. We don't do any extension there because it would be too difficult to check that. So it's 45 minutes in the online self-assessment as well, 22 questions, but there you will not have a certificate. All right, this is the very first really official Q&A section. So we have finished part 1 dealing with the IREB, the foundation level, and the Agile Primer. And before we enter into the second part, which is talking about the advanced levels, I want to give you the chance to ask more questions. So if you have any questions about that so far, please add it to the chat window, and I get something to drink in the meantime. All right. So no questions so far. Yeah. There's a question about a self-assessment for the foundation level. There is kind of self-assessment as well. Yes, we call it the practice exam. This is meant for candidates to check whether they are mature enough to go to the live exam. So it works pretty much the same way. It's available as well as an online exam on the IREB website. So these the primer self-assessment and the foundation level self-assessment are available on the IREB website. And you can access it over there. But this is only available in English and German, because this is really the self-assessment, the online self-assessment. You can as well download the exam papers, the practice exam from our website, and then you will have as well the translated versions. So if you don't want to go for English or German, you need to check the download side. And you can download the practice exam as a PDF document, and as well there is an Excel sheet where you can enter your solutions in order to see how you scored. Yeah. Okay, so Victor just posted that he will spread the links to the mock exam, how we call it as well, will be sent around on Saturday after the certification webinars. And Victor said Saturday is an exam day. Don't know what he means with that. Perhaps he can explain later on. The training courses is another question. You will find on the IREB website a section where trainings are offered, and you can select different levels for the advanced level, for the foundation level, and you can select as well foundation level online trainings, and then you will have a filter and see what kind of online trainings are available. If you're more the guy for an online exam. Otherwise, if you prefer face-to-face, excuse me, not exams. No, I'm totally puzzled. It's the training courses. The training courses. You will find the training providers. You can filter for the training providers different levels, and you can of course filter for online trainings. But if you want to have face-to-face trainings, you might go to CodeSpace, for example. Not the chances to pass foundation exam without attending a course, but only with self-preparation on materials from the internet. To be honest, I can't tell you because it depends on you. I don't know your background in requirements engineering. I don't know how mature you are. I don't know your capabilities of doing self-preparation. This is a very personal thing, and I cannot give you a recommendation here. That's something you need to figure out. Try to train yourself, go to the self-assessment, check whether you would pass, and then you should add a bit more complexity because people sometimes claim that the mock exam is easier than the live exam, and I can assure you it's not the case. But in a live exam, you're under pressure, you know. It's an exam situation, it's time boxed. You need to pass the exam and so on, and your impression will be that the exam is harder than the mock exam, but it's the same thing. Just be aware that under live condition, it's different story. Yeah. The question is whether there's enough sample exam. So the material, there's a lot of material down on the web. You will find the literature section. There's the companion book, which covers the topic in a level of detail which is sufficient to pass the exam. Whether there are more mock exams out there, I don't know. We from IREB, we deliver the one mock exam. The reason is quite easy. You can easily create simple exams for training purposes and so on. But in order to develop an exam which looks like a real live exam with proper multiple choice questions, which are not easy going, it's really, really big effort, and therefore we are not able to provide more mock exams. The question is whether you can do the self-assessment more than once. Of course, you can as well, as I said, download the exam paper there, the PDF, and then you can fill it out as often as you want. And even the online exam, once you close it, at the end, you can register. We are asking for the mail ID there, and then you can run it again. And it's the same questions every time because we only have one full set of good quality exam questions. That was what I mentioned before. Because of the effort, we can only provide one of them. Okie doke. Then let's enter into another question. There's a question whether the certificate has an expiration date. No, you might have missed it before. It's a lifetime certificate. So if you receive the certificate, it's valid for a lifetime. No need to renew here. Okay, then let's go to the second part, starting with the advanced levels. And the very important thing you need to understand in the beginning that all the advanced level modules are independent modules. So it's not that you collect all 4 of them and then go to an exam for becoming certified in an advanced level, but you go to a a distinct module. You go, for example, for the elicitation and consolidation, and then you take an exam which is dedicated specifically for the elicitation and consolidation, and if you pass, you will receive a certificate for advanced level elicitation and consolidation. And if you are interested in the others, you need to do that for all the others. So if you want to have all 4 of them, it will be 4 different exams with 4 different certificates, which gives you a lot of knowledge and value. But you need to be aware it's independent modules. Okay. As I mentioned before, currently there's elicitation, consolidation, modeling, and management. IREB Agile will be out before the end of 2017. And there we have 2 different languages. German, because we started in German, but the main language is English over here. There is still some translation work to be done in the management. For now, we have changed working totally because we are now really working with a lot of international guys, and therefore we are elaborating things in English. So the IREB Agile will be published in English in the first place, and will not be a translation from German. The prerequisite for the advanced level is having the foundation level certificate, because as I mentioned before, you need to have all the RE fundamentals available in order to apply requirements engineering in a proper way, in an advanced way. Looking to the details of requirements elicitation first. As the name says, it gives you the skills of a requirements engineer in the field of elicitation and consolidation. And this means you need to have some good communication skills for sure. If you want to elicit requirements, you need to know how to talk to people, and you need to have some empathy, because you need to understand their business. You need to get into the role of the user to get an understanding of the situation and the problems in order to figure out the requirements. Okay, these are the skills of requirements engineering out there. Then the next thing is requirement sources. There are many different sources where you can get requirements from, and you need to be able to identify these sources. Amongst such sources are legacy systems. Perhaps there's existing software where you can look how things have been done there. There is data mining, where you have a lot of different data sources where you can dig through and see how dependencies are, and so on. There are standards, regulations out there. If you are in a regulated field, let's say healthcare, there are a lot of standards you need to apply to, and so you need to figure out all these resources and identify them. And there are a couple of techniques which help you there. Elicitation techniques, as I mentioned before, interview is, let's say, the most applied elicitation technique, but it's not always working perfect. There are scenarios where interviews are not possible if you do not have the users which you can interview, or the people are not available. And as well, an interview is a very dangerous thing, because the way you asking questions gives a direction for the answers. So you are asking questions from a certain viewpoint, and this implies already some impact on the answers you get. So there's much more than interviews. As I mentioned before, brainstorming, field survey, just watching what people are doing, prototyping, especially having a prototype and letting people play around, and then you can see, okay, where do they have problems, and sometimes they use it in a totally different way than you had expected it. Yeah? You are all used to smartphones where if you turn the smartphone, the screen flips. And perhaps there's something the people who shaped the product have been thinking about from the very beginning. But it could have been as well in a way that they had a prototype, giving it to people, and then they saw, hey, they're flipping it around because they want to have it landscape to watch a video or whatever. So the screen needs to flip. That's something you can identify when you monitor how people are dealing with a prototype, for example. Okay. And other valuable elicitation techniques. The last bullet point is a very difficult one, at least to me. The consolidation techniques. This means negotiation, conflict management. You may have experienced before that people out in the field, stakeholders, if you talk to them, that they have different views on a topic and they have different goals, and sometimes you cannot meet all the goals at the same time. So there are conflicts arising, and there are sometimes the stakeholders just don't like each other, so they don't want what the other wants, and so on. And so these are scenarios where you need to have a couple of techniques. First, to identify the kind of the conflict that you see. Okay, is that something I can resolve? Or is it something I should not even touch because I cannot resolve? I only will lose in that game. And there are a couple of techniques, and this is something we teach over here. Okay, this was elicitation consolidation. Requirements modeling. Modeling, from my experience in the field, many people like it pretty much. Many people hate it because they simply can't deal with models. And we teach some basic principles how to model requirements. Why are you modeling requirements? Because you want to have a I'm looking for the English word, excuse me for a second. You want to represent the reality. So it's an abstract from the reality, which you try to bring down in complexity in order to discuss about something. And this is something we often do in UML and BPMN, but if you look at something from your real life, where models are in the place as well, if you're building a house, the architect might even shape a real model of the house for a big building, for a theater or opera or whatever. If it's in the public sector, the architect will shape something that you can have a look at it. But if you're building a house privately, you will not go for that. But nevertheless, you will have some model, which is the construction plan of your house with the architect. He will have images, drawings where you can draw lines and say, no, I want a kitchen here, I want a wall here, I want a window there. These are models, abstract from the reality. And so the purpose of the model needs to be clear, and where can you use models, where is it difficult to use models, and basics. And then there are different angles where modeling you can view at modeling. One is the context modeling in RE, so then you can see how your system interacts with the system context, or even within the system. So how is this things interacting? Another view is the information structure view. How is the information flow in your system? A dynamic view. How does state change in your system? And different scenarios in your system. And for all these things, there are best practices. How to model that, which kinds of models to use, and how to do that in the best and efficient way. This is what we are dealing with requirements modeling. And in order to give you an understanding of that, you should check out the IREB website, because in the advanced level, what we are aiming there is that we do have the syllabi giving you the learning objectives, but as well there are study scripts for the advanced levels. And in the advanced level requirements modeling, the study script is available as well in English, and it's free for download on the website. So if you want to learn about the content, not only from which things, learning objectives you need to meet, but having the real content. You can check out the website, go there and check the study guide, handbook we call it, or study guide. And this is in English available for the modeling. I did not point it out for the elicitation consolidation because over there it's only available in German. We still, no, sorry, it's not even available in German. In the elicitation consolidation, it's not available at all. This is currently being elaborated. We will have we are having an ongoing review and update of the elicitation and consolidation topic, and there we will publish a new version of the syllabus, which is restructures and having different focuses, and there we will publish as well the study guide handbook at the same time in English. Yeah, so but it's not yet available in the elicitation consolidation, but it's available for the modeling. And it's available in English, and that's very important. And there you can get a feeling about what it's all about. It's quite comprehensive. But even the more comprehensive one is the requirements management. Requirements management, there's as well a study script available, but this it's a pity, but it's only available in German at the moment because this module had been developed in German at the first place, and we are currently doing a minor review to remove some inconsistencies between the study script and the syllabus. Once this is done, we will translate and we will expect to have it available in English by mid of next year. So the content is there, it's already out in the field, people are already doing the exam, but it's in German only, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, requirements and management is a quite big topic. I'm not too deep in that topic. I would have expected, okay, this is perhaps a minor thing, but the study guide, the handbook, is about 200 pages covering everything. But of course, this is very, very comprehensive, giving you a lot of information, but it's not all is relevant for the exam. So covering topics are a definition of what does requirements management do. An information model on requirements, if you are in a context where it's a bigger scope, like automotive, for example, with the variants I've been discussing before, you should have an information model. It's giving you the inside views on how to apply attributes to requirements and different views. And then very, very important thing is rating and prioritization. I always struggle with this word. So define the right priority, which things to do first. And there are several approaches for doing priority as well. In Agile, for example, is prioritization. Prioritization is always an issue. Okay, and then how to version and change our requirements. And in that context, traceability plays a big role. How to find the impact of changes. So you should have traceability in your requirements management. To how to deal with management, reporting. Then there are sometimes RE processes. If you are embedded in a bigger ecosystem, you might need to have requirements engineering process to be implemented in your organization, and then how to manage that is a topic. And of course, managing the requirements might be different in Agile processes. So this is giving you as well some hints for this, how to apply a requirements management in Agile processes. But of course, it's not in depth with Agile requirements engineering topics. This is covered by the other advanced level. Okay, and then there are a lot of RE management tools, already touched that a bit in the foundation level, and here it's more comprehensive. So what you can see here is that these advanced level modules, elicitation, consolidation, modeling, and management, all touch topics which are already covered in the foundation level, but in the foundation level only to a limited level of detail. In the advanced level, we are going in depth, giving you the whole comprehensive story about a certain topic. Okay. RE Agile as well, there's an advanced level. It will be, the syllabus is already done. It's in the final review. We will publish most likely end of November, beginning of December. Again, some definition, then how to deal with visions and goals, stakeholders and scope in an agile context, because this is very important. In some agile, I would not even say the community, but some agile groups, we sometimes call them a bit, the digital, the agile cowboys. They are losing this picture of goals, stakeholders, and scope. They say, yeah, we have got a product backlog, everything is there. We ask the stakeholders, they put things in there. The product owner is collecting the requirements, and everything is in the product backlog. And that's not true, because the product owner is not a Superman. He is not able to collect all these requirements to recover it in a way I've told you before. So there is much more about that, and that's something we need to address here. Yeah. And then, especially in the agile context, how to elicit so-called functional requirements and how to elicit so-called non-functional or quality requirements. Quality requirements are typically things like speed, data rates, which need to go through robustness, so downtime, and all these things. Some things like easy to use is a typical non-functional requirement, because easy to use doesn't mean anything. It might even be different for different target groups, what easy to use means. So you need to handle these things in a very specific way. And especially in agile context, there are other things you need to take care of, and this is addressed over here. Again, the priority thing and how to estimate requirements, this is an issue all over the place, not only in Agile, but as well in Agile, how to estimate what you can do in the next sprint and how do you set priority. And again, very important, scaling of requirements, engineering and development. So you will find some relation to the primer here, of course, but what we do over here, where we give in the primer only an introduction, we go in depth, giving you the whole story, and again, there will be a study script coming along with it, and it will be English in the first place, so no need to wait for any translation. The thing is that we will publish the syllabus to our training providers before the end of the year, and for the public, it will last until, let's say, I'm not sure, January, February. Then we can publish it along with the study guide. Then the study guide will be available as well. In the first place, we submit the syllabus to our training providers that they are able to shape their trainings accordingly. All right. Then the examination. In the advanced level, it's different to the foundation level. There is a two-part exam. First part is a multiple choice test, pretty similar. Oh, there's an error in the slides. It's just, let me think about, no, yeah, there's an error in the slide. It's pretty similar to the foundation level. It's 75 minutes plus 15 minutes extension for non-native speakers, and the rate you need to reach is 70% of the total. 60% is outdated. We had 60% in the past, but we had a different way of marking. We awarded negative score for wrong questions so that you could not guess. And we have eliminated that because it was too difficult to handle with a lot of candidates. So we have no negative scoring anymore. You can check whatever you want, and we only will count the correct answers. But and then you need to reach 70%. So this is outdated. This has not been modified. Once you have passed the multiple choice test, you can apply for the written assignment, and the written assignment needs to be elaborated within 1 year after attending the multiple choice test. And you need to elaborate a homework, a written assignment, size about 10 to 15 pages maximum. The effort you should spend for that is about 2 days. So it's not 1 year of work. It's just expected to be 2 days of work. And we are giving you this 1 year because we want you to practice what you have learned for the multiple choice. So the multiple choice test is checking theory. And there we can only check whether you understood the theory, whether you have learned it. And then you shall apply what you have learned for the multiple choice exam. And get experience, gain experience in the field with all these things. And once you feel fine, you go to the written assignment, you elaborate assignment and submit the written assignment. And when you have passed the written assignment, then you are certified. So the two parts need both to be succeeded independently. So first, part 1, multiple choice. Once you have passed that, you can, within 1 year, apply for the written assignment. You will get the task description, and you need to submit. And if you pass that one as well, you are certified. And again, each advanced level module of the 4 ones, together with the IREB Agile, has its own exam and own certificate. All right. So that's it about the advanced levels. You got any questions for the advanced levels? Please put them to the chat window if you have questions regarding the advanced levels. There's somebody asking about the right mail ID for asking questions. Yes, it is info@ireb.org. You can go to the IREB website and you will find our contact details there. You can approach us there at any time. So still, I'm open for your questions. Just advancing to the next slide, because this is an important message I want to give you. Double click again. We offer a requirements engineering magazine. This is a free online magazine. There's a link on the IREB website, or you go directly re-magazine.ireb.org. This is free online magazine with plenty of articles from professionals from the community. You can browse the archive, you can search the archive, and you will find a lot of valuable information on different topics, on Agile, on business analysis, on priority issues, on whatever, even some academic articles are in there. It's free of charge. You don't even need to register. Only if you register, we will notify you if there's a new issue out. And check it out. It's really a valuable resource for you, and it's free of charge. Okay. Yeah. So I will not talk too much about the expert level. I even don't have a slide because it's not yet published, but for sure there will not be a syllabus for the expert level, because the reason is quite easy. We think you cannot train somebody to be an expert. An expert is something you become by gaining knowledge, experience, practice in the field. So it's a long-lasting process. Personal development is one part of it, and therefore the expert level will not be a training, but it will be just an examination procedure where we give you the prerequisites you need to fulfill. And it's a pity. I should have prepared a slide for that, because although we are not yet on a stage where you can go for the expert level, you should know that it's a 3-part exam. First is submitting proofs of the prerequisites, so that you hold the advanced level modules, certificates, or that you have other qualifications. Then we want to have kind of written assignment where you elaborate homework pretty similar to the advanced level, and then there will be an oral exam. So there will be and it's quite long lasting. It's about 2 hours preparation. You have a case study you need to work on, and after that 2 hours, you will be 1.5 hours in an oral examination with 2 experts from IREB. We will do it as a video conference, pretty much as we did now, just with having video both sides. And then you will need to pass these 3 hours, half an hour about a case study, a half an hour about your project context, which you had submitted, plus the written assignment, and one and half an hour of expert discussion. So this will be the expert level. All right. Last but not least, my contact details: stefan.sturm@ireb.org, or the website, or the IREB magazine, or the info address, which has been asked before, info@ireb.org. So Victor had posted that there will be FAQ about the exams. Victor, can you give more info?
Later, after the event, after the week of event, we will prepare a special FAQ where we would mention how to pass an exam, what is the price, and a lot of useful information about the exams. That's probably a good idea, because everybody has questions about the exams. Oh, video, nice.
Yeah, live from Florida, from the hotel room.
The cost of the exam depends upon the country where you're passing the exam, and actually, one more point: in Ukraine we need to pay tax, which is VAT. So you can check the price in Ukraine by contacting the code space.
Yeah, this is pretty much different depending on the countries, as Victor said, and different countries have different taxation and so on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, do we have any more questions to Stefan? You will have never other choices to ask Stefan directly. Probably.
Yeah.
Oh. We have, yes. Oh, we have a question, so.
The main difference between business analysis and requirements engineering. In fact, let me go back a few slides. Not sure whether I will hit the right one, but I'm pretty close. If you look at the slide, the business analysis scope is bigger than requirements engineering. There is enterprise analysis, for example, defining, assessing the enterprise and seeing how you should evolve the enterprise, defining goals for the enterprise and so on. And requirements engineering is an underlying competency for the business analyst. So they are touching requirements in many places. Sorry, there's somebody knocking at my door here, and I need to. Sorry. No housekeeping, please. Okay. All right. Yeah, so the business analysts do a lot of things beyond requirements engineering, and requirements engineering is an underlying competence which they need in order to touch the requirements and to elicit them. So in fact, I'm on a conference for business analysts here in Orlando with the BBC, which is from IIBA a conference, and I'm addressing that to these guys that we are delivering an underlying competence which business analysts need for doing a proper job, but as well in other areas, project managers, systems engineers, and product owners and others need it as well. Okay. Do you have more questions?
Any more questions, guys?
Yeah. So if there are no more questions, I would like to thank everybody for attending. Victor, any comments from your side? Anything you want to clarify?
I have only one comment. Stefan, thank you very much for the nice webinar. I think you completely explained what is requirements engineering, and now everybody knows that this is really useful stuff for test engineers, project managers, and product owners.
Yeah.
Okay, Stefan, thank you so much. I hope now you can attend the conference and promote IREB in the United States.
Yeah, in fact, I will have a talk in about 30 minutes.
Okay, just perfect. Thank you very much, and
thank you.
okay, see you.
Bye bye. Good night to Ukraine.
See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Okay, so guys, tomorrow we will have one more meeting. It will be iSQI advanced level, where you will learn what is advanced level test manager, advanced level test automation engineer, and advanced level security tester. Tomorrow we will have exciting speakers, and I'm inviting you to join the webinar tomorrow. Okay, so thank you for the attention, thank you for visiting our webinars. I hope all of them are useful. So if you have any questions, you can write them down to the info.space.com, or for example you can write down them to chat. So see you tomorrow. Good night. I have a question regarding the video from Graham Bass. We are recording all the videos, and I think it will take some time to prepare them. I hope the videos will be ready within a week, or probably a little bit more, right after the certification week. It's a little bit hard to gather all such speakers because, for example, Graham participated but phone because he is busy, and a lot of other things. Stefan participated from Orlando, so sometimes it's hard and it makes a lot of effort to gather all of them. So right now we don't have much capacity to prepare the video. We will do right after the certification week. I hope this works for you. Okay, so thank you, and waiting for you tomorrow. See you. Bye.